Welcome. If you're a woman who has a sense that there's more out there for you, you're in the right place. I'm Whitney Baker, host of the Electric Ideas podcast. Somewhere along the line of work and kids, life carried on, but I lost track of my truth. I'm on a reflective journey, and that's what this podcast is all about. Each week, I interview a woman who is lighting her own path and offering others hope. Before our conversation ends, we'll share a reflective question for you to explore. Sometimes all we need is a jolt, a fresh idea, an aha moment that connects us to a sense of possibility. This, my friends, is what I call an electric idea. I'm Whitney Baker from Electric Ideas, and this is a mini jolt, a short episode where I share quick tips, tools, and reflections to light you up with a greater sense of what's possible for you and your life. And I have such a fun topic for you today. We're going to explore some of the lesser known, alleged habits of Albert Einstein and talk about how they might inspire you in your day-to-day life. All right, so we all know that Albert Einstein is one of the greatest figures of modern science. He developed the theory of relativity. He won the Nobel Prize and worked out that good old E=mc² equation. I got curious about what daily habits were potentially nourishing to Einstein's genius abilities and found out he was a committed sleeper. He had a certain hobby that really connected him with flow state and that he routinely took daily walks. So let's explore these 3 habits, starting with sleep. It's reported that Albert Einstein slept for at least 10 hours each night, which is pretty staggering. I don't know a single adult who sleeps that long each night. What I do know is, according to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, adults should sleep at least 7 hours each night to promote optimal health and overall well-being. So while many of us today seem to have this "I'll sleep when I die" mentality, or a complete disregard for sleep hygiene, maybe we plug into our devices late into the night, scramble to respond to texts and emails, and then just expect our brains and bodies to flip an instant switch and peacefully drift to sleep. Poor sleep can negatively impact so many aspects of our lives, and it's worth trying different things in order to see if you can improve your sleep. I was reading about an interesting study by Dr. Macon Nedergaard. She's a sleep expert at the University of Rochester, and she talks a lot about how sleep goes far beyond the downtime when our brains and bodies rest. Her research is specifically focused on the brain's drainage system that removes toxins during sleep. And she's proven that the function of the brain shifts when we sleep and actually becomes more like a kidney and just kind of sloughs these toxins away while we're in our deep states of ease. So yes, we all know that sleeping well helps us feel good, but this is just a reminder that it also helps our brains learn, remember, and create. And with this in mind, I'm not shocked at all to have discovered that Einstein allegedly said that his theory of relativity came to him in a dream. All right, on to the second habit. The second habit of Einstein's I want to discuss is having an immersive hobby. Anything that allows you to truly get lost in the moment or lose track of time. For Albert Einstein, this was music. He played the piano, but he was a deeply talented violinist. It said sometimes he would get lost for hours in a given day playing the violin. And he's also quoted as saying, "If I were not a physicist, I would probably be a musician. I often think in music. I live my daydreams in music. I see my life in terms of music." So Einstein had such a deep affinity for his violin that he named it Lena the violin. And it's widely reported that music helped Einstein when he was thinking about his theory. So he would toggle back and forth between work and music. We could guess maybe play a little music when he hit a wall, then go back and write something down. According to Dr. Michael Menino, the chief science officer at the Flow Research Collective, being in a flow state can help you harness creative solutions because it actually changes what's happening in your brain. Another reason that putting yourself in the position to experience flow state on a regular basis is because flow state can also trigger your brain to release feel-good chemicals and even alter your brain waves. And I don't think we need a brain scientist to tell us that when we're relaxed. It's so much easier to come up with clear, clever solutions compared to when we're in a state of stress, hyperarousal, or trying to force outcomes. So whether you're going to come up with your company's next new product or creative campaign, you're experiencing some writer's block, Or maybe you simply can't seem to come up with the right way to communicate with a loved one on a sensitive topic. Maybe it's time to rip a page from Einstein's book, get into flow with another area of your life, and trust that creative solutions will probably pop into your mind when you least expect them. Sometimes the best way to solve a complex problem or spark an innovative idea is to completely stop focusing on the problem. All right, our third and final Einstein habit to discuss today is taking a daily walk. So according to sources, Einstein's daily walks were sacred to him. It said when he was working at Princeton, he'd walk the 1.5-mile journey there and back from his home daily. So how can we think about this in our current lives? I know many of us have our Apple Watches or other fitness devices that are all about keeping track of steps, which is cool. But there's also tons of evidence that walking can boost problem solving, creativity, and memory. It's not random that Steve Jobs was known for walking meetings. Stanford research has been done that actually shows creative thinking improves while a person is walking and shortly thereafter. This research, which was done by Stanford's Marilyn Opezzo and Daniel Schwartz, also supports a bigger connection between walking and brain health, because physical activity can lead to new neurons in the part of the brain that is linked to learning and memory. On a side note, I think it's kind of funny that Einstein loved his daily walks, but also one of his more quirky habits is that as an adult, he never wore socks. So apparently lots of walking without socks. So I hope this quick glimpse at 3 lesser known habits of a famed physicist whose name is pretty much synonymous with genius might inspire some shifts in your own life. I always end my episode with a reflective question for you to noodle on, journal about, or discuss with someone you love. Today, I'll leave you with a little bit of a deeper reflection on the habits we've discussed. So to recap, sleep. Ask yourself, how can I set myself up for the best possible night's sleep? I know the Mayo Clinic recommends trying to stick to a sleep schedule, for example, where you go to bed and you get up at about the same time every day, including on weekends, which I admit can be tricky. But being consistent helps reinforce your body's sleep-wake cycles. In addition, back in episode 22 of the Electric Ideas podcast, I connected with biohacking expert Angela Foster about secrets for vibrant energy and better sleep. I highly recommend the episode if you haven't had a chance to listen to it. But one idea she put forth that has stuck with me is she challenges adults to try to put themselves to sleep like they would a toddler. So what does that mean? It means basically have a built-in wind down routine at the night. So for toddlers, that might be taking a bath, some light reading. That might not be your thing, but doing something to give your mind and body a chance to completely disconnect and de-stress instead of just expecting to flip a switch and expecting our bodies to sleep well. All right, part 2 of this reflection inspired by Einstein's love for Lena the violin. Do you make time right now for activities where you can completely immerse yourself or lose track of time, maybe even experience some of that elusive flow state? I know that we all have full lives. This is not intended to invoke any guilt or shame that you're not lavishly living out your creative aspirations. But let's be honest, for some of you, the activity is the issue. So you just might not have a thing right now. If you don't have one, it's never too late to try something new. In fact, that's good for your brain too. So I don't care if it's Tai Chi, clay making, bouldering. Just find something and give yourself a little chance to explore. And just remember that achieving this flow state in any aspect of your life is going to help you show up with more energy and creativity in all of the other aspects of your life. All right. And finally, we know that Einstein was getting after it with his sock-free walking. So ask yourself this: would it serve me to incorporate regular walks into my daily living? Maybe it's time to try a walking meeting. If you've got a moody tween, I highly suggest walking to the coffee shop or to get ice cream. For me, somehow walking and talking can help unlock some of the most meaningful, organic conversations with people we love. Alternatively, maybe it would be super nourishing to swap out some of your mindless internet scrolling for a tech-free mindfulness walk, where you go outside, even if it's just around the block, and you walk slowly with no agenda, kind of feel your feet connecting to the ground, and just really soak in your surroundings as if you're seeing them for the first time. All right, I hope this conversation about 3 of Einstein's genius habits will inspire you to shift something in your day-to-day life this week. Thank you for tuning in to this intentionally short and sweet episode. I continue to love making the Electric Ideas podcast. It's hard to believe there's more than 60 episodes available, and I want to continue to expand, grow, and serve. So I have a favor. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider sharing a link to the episode with a friend or two, or posting it on social media and tagging it so that I know it resonated with you. As always, no pressure. I'm just really glad you're here, and I hope this helped you to have an inspired day. I'm so glad you joined me today. If you're looking for more, feel free to connect with me on Instagram at @WhitneyWoman. And if you enjoyed the show, I invite you to support me by leaving a review or sharing it with a friend. Hope you have an inspired day.